I was way
That was
off.
an incredibly slowed down version of this.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Two times
So creepy.
if ever a wiz there was, if ever a wiz there
Sounds like that version of This Is the Greatest Show.
So I had to take something incredibly high pitched and slow it down to that extent.
That's actually what It's a Small World sounds like when it breaks down in Disneyland. It's just like...
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Are you not entertained? Here's Johnny.
It's not the guitar, it's a silly movie boy.
Well, good movies.
Yes, welcome to Well Good Movies. I am your host, David Osger, and guys, we have got a really great show for you today. We are talking about musicals with our most guests ever, actually. It's like a Broadway show, just a very small selling Broadway show.
I'm not used to this many people being here.
But yeah, with Frozen 2 out this month, there's lots of trailers, lots of hype for it. Obviously, it was one of the films that started this sort of resurgence of people singing musical songs wherever they go. So, we're going to sort of dedicate this episode to that genre. If you're not a fan of musicals, then I'm sure there's going to be some stuff in here that you will enjoy, because we're going to be talking about things like Cats and Greatest Showman, which we were discussing earlier, which has some controversial opinions. But we'll also be talking about our favourites or stage to film adaptations, and what we would maybe like to see adapted in the future. So discussing all of that with me today, I have two musical fans. Kind of like Cher, isn't it? It's just we just got singular names. We got Chiara and Alice. So that's the new musical group. So, Alice, you're generally a musicals fan.
Avid. Completely avid.
And also involved with film stuff with Kyle. You've done podcasts with
I've
himself.
done a few podcasts with him, yeah.
Yeah, and lots of controversial opinions I've heard, like Star Wars. Is that...
We are not allowed to talk about Star Wars or The Hobbit in our relationship because it just turns into an argument.
Yeah, I think Van Helsing is one that came up in our last episode as well.
He thinks I'm being mean to him when I talk about Van Helsing.
I haven't watched it in years, so I'll have to revisit it. Chiara, great to have you on the show. Obviously a big musical fan. You were in Cardiff specifically for a few musical events, including this. You were at Porter's last night with Craig. Craig was telling me earlier in the week about your guys' first encounter when you first met, which I find hilarious. I don't know whether you guys want to reenact it or just tell the story, but I think it's quite funny.
That was possibly the most embarrassing way to ever meet a person.
Come on, it worked, right? It was 7 years ago and it's still friends.
This is true. So, I don't know, do you want to tell the story or shall I?
I mean, how much of it do you remember? Because we can literally just do it word for word if you want.
Okay, so to set the scene... that we were in the debating society, and after the debating society, everyone basically always goes to the pub. So I go into this pub full of people, and for the whole evening I've been trying to figure out, because I've just joined the Operatic Society, and I've been told that, somebody playing another part in this is somebody called Craig MacDonald, and I was trying to figure out, is this the same? How many people called Craig MacDonald are there in this university that it could possibly be? So I decided to go up and find out. So I see the person that somebody pointed out to me, that's Craig. So I walk up to him and I sit down next to him in the pub and I go, "Hello, are you Craig?"
Yeah.
"I think I'm your wife."
Oh no! I mean, you did a couple more clarifications first. So for a bit more context, we were the Thénardiers singing the parts in One Day More for an operatic concert, which gives a bit more context than just randomly saying, "Oh, by the way," So it was like, "Are you Craig?" "Yeah." "In the Operatic Society?" "Yeah." "Cass's Thénardier?" "Yeah." "I'm your wife." It's like, oh wow, nice.
It could have been worse. Originally you didn't tell me the part you played, so it could have been dark, abusive relationship on stage or something. So you played pretty fun characters.
Sure. Like, what do you think? Do you think it would be like as if the person playing Audrey when I was in Little Shop of Horrors just kind of did it? I'm your girlfriend. Punch.
No, I was just wondering that if they went, I'm your wife, I was just like, should they be happy? I don't know what part they're playing, kind of thing. Because sometimes.
Do you know how acting works, right, Dave?
So, yeah, we'll be talking about musicals in this episode. And like I said, we've got more guests than usual. Originally, we did have 2. But our third guest today heard that we were talking about Frozen, guys. And in the last episode, he was really obsessed with Frozen. He even was mimicking the lines of finishing sandwiches. So he's come to finish that sandwich. It's James Gair. Hello, James.
Yeah, thanks for that, David. It's good to be here again.
What have you been up to?
Currently scoring films, so I've got a couple of short films on the go at the moment. Long in the Tooth and a film called Samsara.
Nice.
No, it's going really well. Long in the Tooth is looking to be really, really exciting as well. So that'll be in not in a cinema near you, but in a cinema in the new year.
Get the petitions going, and it could be in a cinema. And also, like, the interesting thing about today's assembly as well is we were talking before about everyone seems to have some sort of musical background, apart from me. So, like,
good work, Dave.
Craig, yourself, this will be your sort of reveal that you were famous once upon a time.
Yep. No, so genuinely, I was in the choir Only Boys Allowed that came third in Britain's Got Talent in 2012, losing to a dancing dog act called Ashley and Pudsey.
Oh, yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, you must have been gutted.
I was subject to ridicule because various guests who have been comedians in the past, such as Dan Mitchell, were very quick to remind me of this fact.
Yeah.
Now the dog's dead now, so it's all good.
Craig.
It's been replaced.
Genuinely has. So in Britain's Got Talent, the champions, it was a different dog.
Yeah, that was the controversy that there were 2 dogs. Is that the same?
No, that's a different one. No, it was a genuine accident. It was a lovely dog, hilariously unguarded.
What song were you singing?
So we sang 2 essentially. So we sang Calon Lan during the audition and during the final, and we sang an arrangement of Gwahofiad for the semi-final, although we really wanted to do Sosman Varch.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I'll get the feet going.
No, so there is so we did release an album where we did a recording of Sosman Varch, and we also did a couple of songs from musicals, including Anthem from Chess.
Oh, I love that.
Genuinely one of my favourite tracks.
It's great, no?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Did you do Our John Owen Jones? Is that Only Men Allowed?
That was Only Men Allowed.
Yeah.
Didn't you sort of have a say in one of the other? Is it the Take That song?
Yeah, we sang Never Forget.
Yeah.
So and also Paradise, which I auditioned for the part of the solo, and then they got rid of the solo in that song. So I don't know how to take that.
Similarly as well, like not quite like Chiara's story, but like the are you Craig sort of thing. Like it's funny because obviously Kelly, who's been on the show as well, big musical fan. I remember saying to her about you being in Boys Aloud, and she was like, "Oh, Craig was in Only Boys Aloud," and I was just like, "Yeah, why?" And she was just like, "Oh, I just would have fangirled when I met him if I had known." And I was just like,
yeah, she's not brought it up since.
Talking about musicals, like I said, because Frozen 2 is out this month. I don't know whether that means that we're now going to have like every child in the supermarkets going around singing, or whether those kids are now teenagers and we'll have that Panic at the Disco cover just playing everywhere instead. I'm not sure. But like I said, what do you guys think about the sort of resurgence of musicals? We were saying earlier as well about films like Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man. So whereas today we want to be talking about sort of more stage musicals, they do show that people are sort of like wanting these sort of big, more music films. And Greatest Showman, obviously, I think that's still in like the charts. The episode you on, we were talking about as well, wasn't it? So, what is it you think about musicals, works of film, or on why it's come back recently?
I feel like it helps if like the musical has already been like established, either as a musical or as a film, because there's already an audience that is going to love it. I think that's why Bohemian Rhapsody works, is obviously you've got the entire Queen fandom, and I think that's why the Elton John one worked and why Mamma Mia worked. So I don't think it has much to do with how good that musical is. I think it has more to do with how many people are already a fan of it before it's actually been made into either a film or a musical.
True, but I mean, I think as well you can have some of the new films that are effectively not direct stage adaptations, things like, I guess, A Star is Born, which is one which I actually really liked. I've not seen any of the previous two films, but I thought the latest one was actually really good. And I think it's nice to have a bit of a change in the genre from it's a proper film, but also happens to have loads of music in it and effectively be a musical.
Yeah. Does the Bohemian Rhapsody count as a musical? As it's a biopic with some Queen thrown in it?
I've gotten into loads of debates about this. Because people also ask the same question about Blinded by the Light and Bruce Springsteen, because obviously his music is so influential to that film working. And people are like, oh, it's a really good musical. It's like, but is it a musical though? Because like the musicals I think of now, if we're talking about the essentially uniqueness, are things like A Star is Born, even though it's a remake, but it's all original music, so that's fine. Greatest Showman, and probably La La Land before that.
Yeah, that's the other big one, probably.
Showman was a show beforehand, wasn't it?
No, that was completely. So that was the unique thing about that.
Yeah, it inspired the stage adaptations.
So whereas, like, I think Rocket Man was sort of different as well, because whereas Queen said this is more of a biopic, like Rocket Man, I think they said, is like a true life fantasy or something, and they actually make Saturday Night into a all singing, all dancing sort of like sequence, whereas like Bohemian Rhapsody is just them on stage singing it kind of thing. So
especially considering as well as the original tracks and original voice recordings by Freddie Mercury that were used, as opposed to Rocket Man, where they both reorchestrate and also rewrite a lot of the music for it as well. So things like I'm Still Standing is written in a much different way to the original, which inspires the fact that it feels like a musical song, or a musical adaptation.
Well, it's also, like I said, if Frozen 2 is coming out, like I said, you could talk all day about animated musicals because they're such a big thing. But what's your guys' experience with the original film? Are you excited for it? Do you think it's good? It's bad? Are you happy? There's another one. What do you think?
I mean, if there's a song as good as Let It Go, it's going to get stuck in my head for another 6 months. But I thought Frozen 1 had a couple of songs that I really liked, but as a film, it was, a Disney film. It was fine. Yeah. I never quite got all the obsession.
I thought it was really bad. Really unpopular opinion. I hated it. I really hated Frozen.
How come?
You don't need to whisper.
Snowman was everywhere. That snowman was everywhere.
Oh, what was his name?
Olaf. I hate that I know that. No, I just feel like there was so much focus on like doing musically songs, like songs that were like good for Broadway, that they didn't really have much of a coherent storyline. I feel like it sort of lost its way halfway through.
Yeah, especially the opening of the film is like song, and then it's just like, but yeah.
It's the only musical I know that seemed to abandon the premise of being a musical. Because it gets to what? The Fixer Upper song, and then like nothing happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's interestingly with the Olaf thing though. I don't know. I didn't look at any specifics, but there was like some rumors circulating. If you don't want any spoilers going into Frozen 2, this isn't really a specific thing. But apparently, early test screenings, people were quite sad coming out of it based on like Olaf in the film, and so people were like, "Oh, what happens to Olaf?" And it's just like, so I think they changed some stuff in the film, and I was just like, how dark are they going to go? I was just intrigued by that, but I think he has another song, so maybe it's just like a sad snowman song. I don't know, but
maybe it's sad he's not dead.
He hasn't melted yet.
You just have people who are genuinely rooting for the sun.
I'm one of those people.
So, like I said, in comparison, is there any others from the past few years that stand out to you? Craig mentioned would you say, is La La Land sort of stuck with you, do you think, Craig, or was that sort of like it came and went? So
I mean, Chiara and I have discussed this several times, but it literally made no impact on me in that I can remember a handful of things about it. I think the most memorable thing about La La Land is its ending, just because of how it essentially deconstructs this idea of like the happily ever after sort of story in comparison to what happens. But as a musical, it was not generally my thing. I know Chiara had much stronger thoughts on that.
It was just really, really boring. Sorry, I saw all the trailers for that film and I really wanted to like it, but I was just so bored like 10 minutes in. Yeah. It was like trying to be an art house film, but just not. Just yeah, I could hardly remember anything about it because I distinctly remember about 10 minutes in going, this is really dull. I'm going to sit and like play around on my laptop at the same time.
You did message me aggressively, basically saying like, "What the hell is this?"
I don't understand why it got so much hype.
Yeah.
It seemed to win a load of awards, and like, why would you award it? It was nothing. It was boring in a yellow dress.
You must have liked it though when it did apparently win an award and then immediately got it taken away from
So funny.
I was so pleased for it.
I mean, the only reason I paid it any attention I did is because obviously the director directed my favourite film of all time, Whiplash, so of course I was going to give it credit. And it just literally felt that he basically tried to do a lot of what Whiplash tried to do in style in a more overblown musical fashion, and ended up being a lot preachier about jazz than Whiplash, the jazz film.
Which is hard to do as well.
Yeah.
So thoughts on The Great Showman, Alice?
It just didn't work. Like, for the time period, I feel like a lot of musicals, like Hairspray, for instance, work really well because they try to match up the culture of the time with the way they do the music. That's not always the case.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they didn't have, I don't know how popular, like, you know, opera was when they were doing Les Mis, but, you know, I just don't feel like the pop thing of it really fitted in with what they were trying to do. I feel like it sort of took me out of it, rather. It didn't feel like I was watching anything coherent.
That's that's kind of a trait of a lot of successful musicals, mind you. Like Jesus Christ Superstar, there was many.
I didn't say I liked that
electric
either.
guitars in
No point did I say I liked Jesus Christ
that's
Superstar.
Phantom as well. That's not 18. That's not 19th century music at all.
But the thing is as well, a lot of musicals do use a completely alien music style to sort of deconstruct what's going on at the time. It's like, look at, as much as we don't really want to talk about animated, look at like Hercules having like
Gospel
a gospel
choir.
vibe.
Yeah.
Right? And how well that worked, because they essentially turned it into sort of like a Vegas casino sort of feeling for the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I think with Greatest Showman is that I think the reason it worked for me is because I think they were trying to big up the circus as this new innovative thing for, you know, entertaining people. I think having that sort of poppy, like over the top sort of vibe works for the circus feeling. Whether or not you think that works for, you know, the 1800s, it's completely fine. But that theatricality just worked for me, even if I thought certain moments were some moments did take me out of it because it felt like style massively over substance. Like during Rewrite the Stars, where Zendaya literally just flies away at one point on the trapeze, I was like, yeah, I have to laugh.
I was a little gutted by the way it sounded in the end, because I remember watching that video went round, didn't it, of Hugh Jackman doing From Now On with his recently cut up nose basically from his cancer do, and it sounded really cool. It sounded nice and open, loads of voices, people were really going for it, acoustic instruments, and then the next thing you know, I'm hearing it on the radio and it's just been sent to some producer and mixer who's just compressed the living crap out of it, added all this unnecessary crap to it, and it ended up sounding that kind of commercial pop thing, that is a shame, in fairness, because I thought it sounded much better beforehand.
I don't know, I thought it was just nice. Like, Great Showman, like, okay, it was never going to set the world on fire, and okay, it did get slightly overplayed, but for what it was, I thought it was fine. I am appalled that you guys don't like Jesus Christ Superstar, though. Just
I like Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay, good.
I mean, you know I do. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I still object to it on moral grounds, though.
What, Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yeah, he was no.
I was like, how dare he?
No, that's the controversial issue. No, Greatest Showman. I mean, they make a really good job of making one of the most horrible people in history look affable.
Agreed.
You know, this. I mean, I'd read it. I couldn't believe the story I read when I was when it came up, was about him basically finding a legal loophole to be able to buy a slave, because this woman was purportedly a slave of George Washington, the original.
Yeah.
And
The OG.
And he kept the OG George Washington. And then he kept her, waited for her to die, and then when she died, opened up, had a what do you call it?
A public autopsy.
Yeah, a public where he charged people to go and say like $5 a go. Yeah. That's the kind of guy. They don't bring this
show.
They don't, from now on, and they don't bring that up too much.
There is a sequel coming out, to be fair, so all your dreams could come true.
Oh my god.
Who's going to play?
I don't want to hear the song "The Other Side" if that's going to happen.
No, but let's face it, it wasn't really about P.T. Barnum at all. Like, all they did was take the name, and the whole rest of everything else was just...
Yeah, well, that's what was confused me. I was always like, why didn't you just make this about a circus owner?
Why
Like,
didn't they just fictionalise the whole thing then,
Yeah,
in that
that's
true.
case?
I don't know why they went, oh, you know who's really big? P.T. Barnum. Everyone wants to know about him. It's not like everyone would have seen it regardless. It's
Yeah,
not like
Even if
were
they
like,
focus on the elements of... Because what was the name of the other owner? So Zac Efron's...
Oh, right. Zac Efron.
Just
That's
call him
what we
Zac
know.
Efron.
Yeah.
Cool. So Aphrodite. Yeah, no, even if they just focused on it from his perspective, because he seemed a lot more interesting in terms of, like, you know, abandoning this upper class way of living because, like, finding freedom and just breaking against conventional norms. Even that would have just been fine. But all the P.T. Barnum stuff for me, apart from, you know, Hugh Jackman's just natural charisma, did kind of make me raise an eyebrow a bit. And that's the stuff that we mainly sort of clashed about as well.
Yeah, that you saying that though, like, made me think of like an even better version they could do of Greatest Showman. When you said like his perspective, I was just imagining what James said, like this horrible guy, like opening people up for autopsies, but it's still this happy, cheery musical from the point of view of the guy who's like his assistant. Like, I don't like this man, so I'm going to deal with it by like having happy songs.
Yeah.
And like you could have him like dancing with Zendaya on the, like, you know, hoop when, like, in the background P.T. Barnum's there, like, abusing one of his, like, you know, workers or something.
Oh my god.
That's the real film.
This is the greatest show.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's like what you said as well, Chiara. It's that element. Like, to me, like, my mum, like, the other day I walked in and she was just listening to the soundtrack, but even when she saw the film, she was like, yeah, the music was nice. I think everyone likes the music because it is like pop music. I did have to go to a Greatest Showman sing-along on my own, I will admit.
Yeah, but whose fault was that?
Well, to be
He
fair...
asked me on the day, on a Saturday, he was like, do you want to come? It's like, mate, I've got plans.
Yeah, no, but it was just the case of like, oh, I'll find somebody to go. Even my mum will go. It was like, and my mum's like, oh, sorry, I've got plans. I was like, oh, God, this is looking more likely. I'm just going to be in a crowd of like children and old people like on my own. And then the worst part was, because it was free tickets, they like placed me like on the end of like an aisle, like on my own. So I looked even more creepy. But yeah, it was bizarre. Apart from negative musicals, what are your guys' favourite ones, you know, in terms of film versions that sort of stand out? I think good one you said, Alice, was Hairspray. Actually, I find that is
I like Hairspray.
Such a fun film. It's just silly and stupid.
John
and-
Travolta in drag, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those where I don't know. Have you seen the live performance of it?
Not seen it live.
No, because I've not seen it, but sometimes, you know, when you see the original performer or whatever, and you think, oh, I can see why that was popular because the person in the film is not as good. But I always see I can't remember his name now. Is it Harvey something? Who plays Edna in the stage, and I'm like, this is too much. Like, it's too much of the man in drag thing. I think John Travolta does like the soft voice and stuff like that. I
Very well.
Yeah,
Eerily well.
yeah. It's like he's done it before. Right? But yeah, I think that film is like, and it touches on some good things. I think I saw the other day where they've got that Little Mermaid live thing is happening in America, and Queen Latifah was like doing Ursula, and I was just like, this is why she's in Hairspray, because she's a good singer, and this is why you should cast her in an actual live action Little Mermaid instead of Melissa McCarthy for whatever reason. But
Agreed.
But yeah, I think the fact that film also then at least goes, and let's also talk about like a cultural thing of that time as well as dancing and singing in the streets, and what I like about it as well is because it's from that time period, you get, like what you said with Hercules, you get that sort of like gospel sort of like influence and stuff as well, which is always great because that's sort of like what works quite well in like Little Shop of Horrors as well. You have those sort of like three singers.
Oh, the
that sort
doo-wop
of-
girls.
Yeah, so yeah, that one always stands out to me as like a successful one, especially compared to what I've seen of the stage version. But what are you guys, Chiara? What sort of stands out to you?
Well, I think the best movie musical is Rent. I really love Rent. I think it's a great
Suck
film.
it, David. For fans at home, David refuses to watch Rent, as well as some of my friends from home.
On what grounds, David?
A meme mainly. But
Yeah, no, to be fair, like I didn't have anything against watching Rent. It was just that like Craig kept saying like we need to watch Rent, and you know, it's he's like says you need to do it, and you sort of like makes you want to do it less. And then like my other two friends made more jokes about Rent, so I just joined the jokes kind of thing. I would like to see it genuinely. It's just I've also not seen. We were talking about Jesus Christ Superstar. I've never seen that either, but
that is good. The second version,
Yeah.
I think they remade it in about 2002. I want to say.
It was like 1999, I think.
Was it? Because
It was
maybe
something like that. Yeah, because I've seen. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But
there was a version from the 70s which was not good.
Right.
And then they
watched a
remade
clip-
it.
I watched a clip of it this morning. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
He literally, it's during the temple scene, and just the way he just destroys everything is just so amateurish. He runs and he's like, ugh, just flipping over tables.
My only link to that musical is just the Transparent, the Amazon series, and they've recently done a musical episode, but it was in series 4. They kept playing it. What was it? Everything's Alright, is it?
Yeah.
So that like got stuck in my head after I watched that like series, but that's like the only, apart from the Jesus Christ Superstar
Yeah.
song, that's the only influence I've ever had
That's
with
it.
it. But
So back to Rent.
I just think it's a really good example of how to do a movie musical properly. Like they managed to, it's still a musical, and you've got random people breaking into song, but the music, I guess, kind of like what you're saying with Hairspray, I think the music fits the time period enough, and the acting kind of just doesn't stop, and then like let's all stop acting and suddenly start bursting into song, pause, go back to acting. It's really well integrated, and I think it's a really well made film. Also, the story is incredibly depressing, but like also cheerful and uplifting, and I think it's a nice story. But yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that.
So I've seen the concert version live, not actually seen the acted out stage version. I think it's kind of like Chicago for me, in that I think it's actually something that works better in a film than on stage, because I'm not a big fan of stage musicals where it's mostly lists of songs. And I think with things like Rent and Chicago, the reason it works really well as a film is because a lot of it is on like people's facial expressions and like small movements that on a stage you don't really get, and then you kind of you get a better view from the movie.
Yeah, the interesting one with Chicago, whenever I think of that, is though that it does appear is to me the most staged looking on film, because you have like the whole like Catherine Zeta-Jones sort of like song and stuff like that, and where it looks like it's just like the prison wall and everything like that. It looks like you could imagine
But
it
I think
on stage.
I think that's why the integration of it actually works really well, because at least for people who have the problem of the randomly bursting out with the song and dance, at least in those song sequences in the film where it's so removed from the situations in which we're often singing, it has that natural blend, so at least gives some credence to that idea. So I don't know, I'm alright with that.
Yeah. Alice, have you got a favourite?
Sweeney Todd.
That's what we did for that
Definitely.
one.
My second favourite musical of all time, but it was like the first proper musical I think I watched, and it's so like gothy, and I was right in the middle of my emo phase as well, so that's probably why I loved it so much. It was so bleak and depressing, but the songs were so good. Yeah,
I think it's with that one as well. It goes to show, like, I know one of my old housemates, he was like, "Oh, Sweeney Todd, I've never seen this," and he like put the film on, and he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great, like blood and everything." And then like the moment it comes on, it's just like, "No place like London." He was like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was a musical." Turned it off, and then but then a year later, like, was convinced to watch it, and like he was like, "I don't like musicals, but I did genuinely enjoy that." So I was like,
I've heard that from quite a few people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like musicals, but I like Sweeney Todd, and it's like,
yeah,
you do then.
yeah. But
I think it's just because it's underplayed, because one of the things that it did from the stage adaptation was basically take out all of the chorus numbers.
Yeah.
So all of the songs are like interpersonal, even if they're not necessarily meant to be.
Yeah.
But the sacrifice was they lost one of my favourite songs from the musical, which was just the ballad of Sweeney Todd.
yeah, because have you seen the? I was getting confused whether you've seen Jekyll and Hyde and all that one.
I mean, I've seen both.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
is the answer. So
But-
Jekyll and Hyde is weird, but I do like it. Its technical film version is weird, just because David Hasselhoff is Jekyll and Hyde, and it does not work.
I was going to say it's the other one with David Hasselhoff, but yeah, I think what I liked as well in Sweeney Todd is it's the unconventional story as well. Is that like
Very dark.
yeah, like when I saw it, I didn't know anything really about it apart from just, that he slits people's throats. So when I got to the end of the film, I was like, I didn't see that coming and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what maybe other people enjoy with it as well, is that there's like a big stakes to it as well. It doesn't sort of go the way you expect it to, like other musicals can. And just like I said, I think one of my favorite ones from that one is the Down by the Sea
Goths
song.
on the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
So like how that flips from, so even though you don't have those like chorus numbers, you do still have those like sort of like more upbeat songs, and then it goes straight back to like, Pretty Women or any of the other darker ones. But any standouts for you, James?
Oh, I'm a bit more old-fashioned. I like My Fair Lady. I think that's probably one of my top musicals.
I was going to say that.
Seriously.
Yeah, I was going to say they haven't seen well, obviously they've seen Wizard of Oz, but ones like Singing in the Rain and stuff like that. Like I remember seeing it on a Christmas and stuff, but I've never sat down and watched it, kind of thing. But obviously those are a big entity on their own. But yeah, I've never seen My Fair Lady. Educate us.
Oh, I mean, it was just a beautiful film, and Audrey Hepburn's fantastic, as is Rex Harrison. Just a really good film with really beautiful music.
Interesting though, Audrey Hepburn isn't the one singing in that film.
No, she got dubbed out.
Yeah.
It's really,
which is a shame, because they've managed to find the tapes of her, because she did originally sing it, and then later on producers decided to dub her out again and put in, there's a woman, I can't remember her name, but she
dubbed a lot of musicals back then.
So they got her to do it.
It did become really common practice, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then, but they have managed to find, there's a university in Britain that's managed to find the tapes of her original tracks, and remastered them, and it sounds really good. I mean, it's not, she's not pitch perfect or anything, because she's not a professional singer at all. But this character to it is just fantastic, and I think it would have been perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, no, I think I have heard about this. It becomes this weird contrast of, do you want like the authenticity of the emotion, or do you just want the quality of the singing? And I think the producers went for the quality of the singing over. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people were just used to having that voice and that kind of prettier voice, as opposed to Audrey Hepburn, who's doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I thought it was really nice. But there we are. I'll tell you what, wasn't keen on Johnny Depp and Sweeney Todd, though.
Oh, really?
No. He's an awful bloody singer.
He wasn't great, I will concede to that.
I always, because
Neither was Alan Rickman, though.
No. But
it works for Judge Turpin, though, so like...
Yeah, okay.
I strongly disagree.
I know, it just felt sly, so...
I was weird, because I'd already heard Sweeney Todd before, and Sweeney Todd was always played by like a baritone or a bass baritone, and then have Johnny Depp come in with his thin pseudo Cockney thing was very peculiar.
Just gothy.
Although to be fair,
Jack Sparrow.
if we're going to be talking about like bad musical performances, I mean, we could be here all night.
Oh, right? Yeah, let's.
I think
I've got a controversial opinion on that if you want one.
No, I don't think I'm about to mention who you're going to mention.
Okay.
I was going to say Gerard Butler.
Oh yes, good lord.
Okay, that one I agree with.
Gerard Butler as the Phantom is...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. I don't know how anyone thought that was ever going to work, and how he managed to get in front of the camera thinking that it'd be fine.
This is the point of no return. Good God.
The bit that got me was the way he kept pronouncing do's. It was the bit, it's the reprise of All I Ask of You.
Yeah.
Well, right at the end, isn't it? Of them doing their little bit on the roof. And then he just said, "You will curse the day you did not do." Properly, like listening to you do. And he's just, God,
can we please get Gerard Butler to do a version of David Hasselhoff's Do?
Seriously though, how that happened, I don't know. But it's an interesting habit though of that a lot of musicals that are adapted to film, when they end up putting these massive names on there, the people who really ought not to be singing anything at all. Yeah. Les Mis could be another one that could be talked about. Yes. But then when they do like a Disney movie, they'll get people like Leah Salonga and people in to do the vocals, and it's fantastic. But not the other way around though. Yeah.
They literally have to rely on that star power, and they think, oh, these people are so sensitive about their ego of being in a musical that they need to uphold it. But
I would say though, in the live action ones, they do tend to go the same way though. So if it's animated, they're like, oh, they can't see him anyway. But when it's live action, they're like, oh, and let's put Ewan McGregor as Lumiere, and it's like, but he can't sing.
He sounded Mexican the whole way through.
How can you mention someone from Beauty and the Beast and not target Emma Watson?
I thought she was great.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'll drop the Russell Crowe thing now.
Yeah. Well,
I liked Russell Crowe in Les Mis.
Oh, is that the controversial one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if
Nobody
it's
ever
still...
agrees with me. But
I didn't mind his... What's the song called? Is just Stars, is it? Or the...
Get Out.
Yeah, like I didn't mind him so much at that point because I kind of got where he was going a bit more with it, where it's like it didn't work for me at the
in the
beginning.
work song. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite things I've seen is the abridger Little Karibo. He has a character Tristan in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, who literally talks like this the entire way and just has this really goofy voice. And he literally dubs over that scene of Russell Crowe singing with that voice. And literally just comes up and he says, "And I'm Javert." And I was like, this is not that much different.
No, there was a lot of things wrong with that though. I do understand why they had to keep dropping the pitch of songs for Hugh Jackman.
Which is surprising, because you'd think of the cast they had, he would be the one, given he is...
But he's not a tenor. He's in no way, shape or form a tenor.
But
He's
even
not
then,
got
you'd think
vocals
he would
or
understand that, given the fact he has the musical past and should understand his own limits, right?
Yeah, but I think he's probably talked... Well, Moneying probably talked into it as well. But at the same time, I mean, the composers wrote that a certain way. It should be performed that way that they composed it. It shouldn't be taken down an entire... I think it was taken like a minor third at one point for it. It was like, who am I?
Right.
Because he's not hitting that beat no matter what he does. So.
Although, to be fair, I wanted to kill Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, God, he was dreadful as well.
I want to kill him in everything I see him in.
No, he's pretty good. It's just for him.
I loved him in Sweeney Todd. I loved him as the rival barber.
The Italian,
Yeah.
Yeah, just not in Les Mis.
Yeah.
But Helena Bonham Carter was a good choice.
Yeah, she's a natural fit for a film like that.
It's not dissimilar to the Sweeney Todd character.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
in writing they're not anyway, so I can't really hold that against Helena.
Oh, no, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think with Les Mis, though, they also did that. Like, to me, I always saw it as a part because they were singing on set.
Yes.
Because there's not, like, so if Hugh Jackman had a studio recorded version, they might have been able to bump him up or whatever. So I always kind of saw his more limited versions of the song, partly maybe as well because he was doing it on set and walking around and there was a piano there and that kind of stuff. That's why I kind of saw it as. But
well, at the same time, I mean, people who are doing it 8 times a week on the West End and Broadway, they're walking around doing it in the same way, completely live.
But I think the difference in that situation is in the record when filming, the amount of times you probably have to go cut action. So having to do it continuously as opposed to stage version. Yes, you are doing it so many times a week, but you are only doing it that once for the actual perfect version.
I mean, that whole piano situation of doing it live was a really stupid idea from the get-go. It must have affected them in so many ways, like doing the takes constantly having to keep singing for God knows how long.
Ambitious, but for Les Mis, for having such the scope that it does, was probably foolhardy.
Yeah, and I mean, it does affect the performance as well. Like, it's not like Hugh Jackman. I mean, I don't understand it's a musical. He should be singing or crying constantly. Like, the soliloquy. It was, soliloquy. There's not a breath of a note in there. It's just him moping. And you're going, God's sake, man. And then that was the other thing. This probably hasn't anything to do with the piano, but I'm just ranting now. But at the end of Bring Him Home is a song everyone knows. Yeah. Everyone knows how that should end. It should end with this beautiful, airy falsetto at the end.
Yes.
And then he just does a full head voice. It just sounds bloody awful. This vibrato is just... Anyway, that was my Hugh Jackman rant.
To be fair, I was thinking the exact same thing about the falsetto.
Yeah, I do think, especially because I saw the concert version of it that they had on DVD and stuff.
Oh, was that the one with Alfie Boe?
Yeah, okay. And Matt Lucas as the Thénardier.
Oh,
so,
he's
like,
doing Thénardier again in the concert version they're doing
exactly.
now.
So that's why I was always just like, he's in films. Why didn't you just put him in the film version instead of Sacha Baron Cohen? But the guy who does Javert in that concert version I saw is really, really strong. So I can imagine if people did see that and then saw Russell Crowe's version, I can understand why they were like, oh, this is not all what it's like. But yeah.
But then at the same time, they did get someone from the 25th to play Eponine.
Oh, Samantha Marks.
Who was incredible.
Oh,
and
my
it just made it was just such a stark contrast from everyone else. We go, that's what an actual
made everybody else just look like
singer
amateurs.
Exactly. It would have been so much better if they actually got some actual musical singers in there.
Exactly.
Should have had my boy Ramin.
What did you guys think of Anne Hathaway? Because obviously she then won the Oscar for her role.
It's more crying again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of crying.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's called Les Mis for a reason, right?
Yeah,
It is
but it should degradate the
It is
music.
literally the Miserables.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the song that keeps playing in my head? I know I've shown it to you. The Something Rotten, the American show, and they've got that song called "It's a Musical." And like when you were talking about Rent, I was just thinking about the bit where he riffs on Rent, but now I'm just thinking of the bit where he's just like, that sounds so miserable, and he's like, I believe it's called pronounced miserable. And it's like, they have so many like references in that song. It's great. But yeah, I was just intrigued still, Chiara, though, what you think why you like Russell Crowe in
I just
in the
think
film?
if you're going to have one part in Les Mis where you can get away with not being the most amazing singer, it is Javert. And I think his rendition of, you mentioned Stars, yeah, okay, it's not technically, musically perfect or particularly nice, but I just think it really works.
Yeah.
And like, I never thought I would say this, but I think the acting is, okay, it's Russell Crowe, so I don't particularly want to compliment his acting because normally I wouldn't be, but I think for the part of Javert, that whole like weird stilted thing he has going on just really worked. So, I mean, I thought it was a good choice and I enjoyed it.
To its credit, I think the one thing that they do effectively with Javert is the emphasis they put on the walking on the edge. I did like that in terms of, if you are going to make like a film adaptation of that, I think that was a good thing to emphasize. So I did like it for that.
If you're talking like, so the person who does Les Mis though is Tom Hooper. So if you're talking about Tom Hooper doing Les Mis, you need to talk about his next film, which is Cats. I'll leave you guys to it.
Is Anne Hathaway in that one as well, yeah? Is that someone else?
No, we have people like Taylor Swift,
Oh,
Rebel
yeah.
Wilson,
Just because
Idris Elba.
she's played Catwoman in Batman doesn't mean she's now typecast to Cats.
I'm pretty sure Taylor Swift actually auditioned for the part of Eponine in the Les Mis movie.
Yeah?
I think
Well,
she did.
good.
God.
Let's face it can't be any worse than every other adaptation of Cats. Cats is the worst musical.
Cats.
Oh,
Pretty
I
poor
don't know.
musical.
I think the designs alone have horrified the living crap out of me.
Oh yes, that is true. I have seen some of the pictures.
At least a stage musical can't experiment that much with CGI.
Yeah.
But also, it has just taken a group of my least favourite actors of all time and just brought them into something I had little faith in to begin with. It's like... Because, like, let's look at the cast list and think of how many people I hate, right?
It's like the anti-Craig.
Yeah. Like, you've put Rebel Wilson and James Corden in the same room. You might as well have handed them a transcript and said, well, there's this guy called Craig who doesn't like us. Right, well, we're spiting him.
Yeah. Well, it's the same formula as Les Mis, though, isn't it? They're not really too focused about people who can sing or anything like that. It's names. It's getting
The
big
thing is
names
they-
into it and just saying, oh, well.
But they've gotten a really famous choreographer and they're really pushing that she's doing the choreography for this film. And they're just like, so...
meaningless when you can't.
If I don't
James
hate these
Corden.
people, I'm going to look away, so I'm not going to watch them dancing. Like,
It'll be successful,
So-
that's the annoying thing.
I think, yeah, the James Corden one is bizarre because what other musical has he been?
Into the Woods.
Into the Woods, that was it, yeah. So
That-
karaoke.
yeah, so
Oh, God.
and that, yeah. But so obviously, yeah, he is a competent singer, but it's again weird that they're just like-
Debatable.
but yeah, weird that they're like, oh, let's just get the same singer, like you said, where they've got somebody in Les Mis who is clearly from that background, where they're just like, oh, this one guy does it, and who's also in other types of films and TV shows, so we'll just get him to do it every time. It's just like, because the weird thing in Into the Woods as well is, again, I never knew anything about that show before the film came out, but when I looked into it afterwards, like, they have James Corden take over the role of the narrator as well. So in the original Broadway show, there's like a narrator that tells the story rather than the baker. And I'm just like, so you give James Corden more to do when you didn't have to? Like, why have you got this obsession of doing that? But going back to Cats though, like what is it you dislike about the actual musical? I know like Craig said it before, but I've had so many people like say that they hate that musical, and I was surprised because I'm like, I thought this was like the most successful musical ever, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's horrible. I hate everything about Cats. I say this as possibly the world's biggest Andrew Lloyd Webber fan, but just Cats.
To be
Just
fair-
why?
To be
I think
fair,
you'd say the biggest cat lover then or something.
to be fair, the reason you told me before, I think pretty much hits a nail on the head about that show.
Well, I mean, I think in general, my I can't remember what I said before, but the general reason is it's not a show. It's a collection of poems which somebody has decided to put to music. And yet there's some individual songs that are really nice, and like a few individual good songs is fine, but it's not actually a show. There is no story. Like at the end, they start deciding to randomly like pretend that there was a plot all along, and there just wasn't. It's a collection of poems.
Because literally all it is, the entire premise of the show is Cat Jesus selecting somebody to go to the next better life. And all the show is every going, pick me, right? It's basically a cat shelter. It's just Cat Shelter the musical.
The funniest thing in it, though, is, like, I saw it in, not like the actual show, like, in school we were studying the poems, so then my teacher was like, oh, I'll show you the film, but because we were like, oh, let's look at the Rum Tum Tugger poem, and then she would show us the musical song. So, like you said, because it's, like, I was almost then shown it as a series of songs on their own, so loads of people then were watching, they're like, oh miss, can we watch the full thing one day? And she was like, oh, I forget time, but like everyone was getting obsessed.
Don't worry children, you have.
Yeah, but it was like we were watching Mr. Mistopheles, we were watching these things on their own, and then when you do watch it together, you're like, oh, this is kind of weird, because especially the what's his name, old dude Deuteronomy is just like, oh no, he's been kidnapped, and it's like, how are we going to get him back? It's like, oh, the magic cat is just going to make him appear again. And it's like, what happened to McCavity? That's why I'm interested in the film, is that they got Idris Elba playing McCavity, and I'm like, is he going to be a bigger part of the film?
Yeah, if we want to talk about somebody who seems to be typecast as cat people at the moment, it's definitely Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Him, Shia Khan.
Yeah. And just the fact that, like, if they didn't give him a big role, it would then be that theme of, like, Idris Elba playing just, like, pointless villains, like in Star Trek Beyond, when they're just like, oh, let's have Idris Elba as the villain, but then cake him in makeup so you can't tell that it's Idris Elba kind of thing. But I don't know, I think with that film though, I'm still fascinated by it. I'm looking forward to it because it just looks so weird. I just like look at the trailer and I'm like, this looks so bizarre, I just have to like know what it's like, because like I said, the visuals look interesting. I've never seen a film that's done that whole like, oh, let's have everything gigantic kind of thing but make it look good. But yeah, the Rebel Wilson stuff and all that kind of stuff is the kind of things you're like, this makes it look really bad. But I know, I still find that maybe you've got like Mistopheles and some of the other cats seem to be played by dancers and stuff. So I don't know, I'm just fascinated by, if it was a terrible, terrible film, it's like one of those that might be like so bad it's good kind of things, because it is so strange.
I am looking forward to the experience.
Yeah. Because
I just know what's going to happen. David and I were going to go and see it. We're going to walk out, and he's going to tiptoe around me for ages. He's going to be very quiet walking out of the Odeon cinema, getting to the whichever car we go in. We'll sit in. We'll drive out of the cinema, wait until we're on the motorway. He'll go, so, what do you think? And I'll just start screaming.
Well, like, a lot of people say about, like, the looks of the cats as well. I know you brought it up, but that's the thing with the stage show as well, isn't it? Like, loads of people are like, oh, why didn't they just put them in real cat suits? I'm like, because they look freaky as real cats as well. Like, it's always been a freaky thing, to be fair.
Yeah, but you've literally stepped over that line now. Uncanny Valley turns like Uncanny Hell.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a clever pun in there somewhere, I just couldn't be asked to get it.
All I was thinking of is that the opposite, which is Family Guy. He's like, oh, you'll go to doggy hell. I was like, is there like a cat hell? I don't know. There's 9 lives, so probably
yeah.
Not,
Surely we can't get to the end of talking about movie musicals without mentioning the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which...
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's quality, yeah.
It's the best bad movie possible. Right. It's another one that you should never, ever remake because the original is so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's getting over Tim Curry stuff.
No.
It's just a I don't even know if you can call it a cult classic at this point, because it feels like, yes, it does have a sort of cult following, but that seems to be most people you talk to. It's just a very large cult.
I think if you wanted to go down the comedy route, a movie that I think would lend itself quite well to a musical would be The Room.
Oh, God. And he would as well. He
Yes.
definitely
That's
would.
the thing. You know he would.
Yeah. He'd do it himself.
Yeah.
One-man show.
I really want it to happen. I think it would be so good. It would lend itself so well.
So Kiara's looking very Kiara.
I don't know this film at all.
Oh.
You don't. Right. Okay. That's it. Before you go, go home this weekend. We are watching The Room.
Okay.
It's a rite
It
of
is-
passage.
It is. I'll warn you. It's one of the worst films ever made, but it
Okay.
is hilariously bad.
It's amazing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It is so bad and so confusing. They had to make a film about the making of this film.
It's also a really good film.
Yeah, it's a
So
great
good.
film. Like James Franco won a Golden Globe and
Oh yeah, he beat Hugh Jackman for Greatest Showman.
That's poetic justice,
and then
isn't
brought
it?
and then brought Tommy Wiseau, an actor who is considered to be the worst actor ever, on stage with him at the Golden Globes.
But yeah, so like I said, guys, our other component of when we talk about like these big themes is that we decide what goes into our movie vault. So that is our vault, which is owned by what we call the Film God, who sort of asks us to offer up what we think are the best sort of representations of these topics that we are talking about. Now, it can even be like something which is very bad, which, like you said, could be like, you have to watch this to like know that you should never watch it again, like The Room. But we're talking about musicals today, so the room can't go in there, unfortunately. But what is there anything that springs to your guys' minds in terms of like, if they, like I said, if there was a vault, there was to be like, you know, there was this 1 or 2, 3 movie musicals that were there to represent the genre that should be in there, or any of the sort like we talked about that you think stand out?
I think we all seem to unanimously love Rocky Horror, so I feel that should be in there.
I
Definitely.
agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Just Time Warp alone.
Absolutely.
I'm still going to stand by My Fair Lady. I think that should be in there.
I think so.
Because also, I mean, it developed a lot of new technology in the way they record voices in films. So, for instance, Rex Harrison, because Rex Harrison's part is also spoken, and he was saying every time he did a take, it'd be different every single time because it was a lot of speaking and it changed. So they had to find a way to be able to get a microphone on him to do it as opposed to him, and that was a new technology at the time to be able to get microphones on people like that, which is now common practice in films.
When you get those sort of classic movies, is it like you do tend to then, like I said, see Singing in the Rain and stuff a lot more, but then, like I said, I've only ever seen it in the background, so I don't know what people, if people
To be fair,
got
yeah, I
attachment
think-
to that one, or
Well, I mean, it would be hard given the fact we haven't really talked anymore about like. So what's the? Is it Hammerstein? The
Roger and
and
Hammerstein.
Yeah, Roger and Hammerstein. Yeah. So because we haven't really talked much about like their sort of era, so I feel
More like Cole Porter and things like that.
Yeah.
King and I and
Mary Poppins, that should be in there.
Sound
I
music.
agree. Yeah, Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
That's a cracker. Don't make films like that anymore.
Well, I mean, they try to with Mary Poppins Returns.
That's not making the same film.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for anything from that sort of era to go in.
yeah. Well, I think, like I said, if like nobody has a strong feeling on any other one, so I think if My Fair Lady, obviously, like James brought up, so I think that, and you always have to have that like historical one. So Rocky Horror is the historical. Yeah. No, a very different his time of era. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. Mary Poppins is an important one, and it's surprising that we didn't bring that. But like I said, maybe it was just because we were sort of being a bit anti-Disney. But like I said, Feed the Birds, you know, like Fly a Kite. There's some really powerful
I mean,
songs.
literally in Jane Calamity's last night when they played Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, there was a Cockney dance-off as well,
Yeah.
and loads of people were getting involved. Even though it was like a pub which was at max capacity of how many people, you still have loads of people just jumping up and down, doing the arms.
Yeah, because that's what I've always found bizarre about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'm like, this is just a Mary Poppins rip-off, surely. Like, that's what
No, I think that's just because the fact of Dick Van Dyke is in the...
I know, yeah, but then they have that, like, yeah, there's just another song in now which is, like, similar to the, like, Oh Bamboo and stuff like that, so I was like, but...
Though with Mary Poppins, it is well known to be completely untrue to its source material.
Oh, God, yes.
And in a very not nice way as well.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
Disney-esque way.
Watch Saving Mr. Banks and you'll see.
Yeah, but even
No,
that
it's
is
even
like
worse than that, because they still like essentially sugarcoat the ending. Cause
yeah, she was because she didn't cry in the middle of it because
Yeah.
she was
No.
like taken aback by the emotion of it. She
She
legitimately
hated
hated
it.
it all
Yeah.
her life.
she
yeah.
sued the crap out.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah.
But still,
Stage, but like I said, it's they don't tend to have ever fully pulled it off, kind of things. Like, even though Les Mis has its elements, so nobody then went like, oh my god, that was like the best interpretation of that show ever. So I think it kind of makes sense that like the films that are the better musicals as films themselves are the ones that are originate as films, because like I said, when I've seen stuff about the Mary Poppins musical on stage, I'm like, that doesn't appeal to me. I don't see why. Like, why do I want to see like a woman fake flying on stage?
Because I literally heard a song on Sunday from the new Mary Poppins show by the new Mary Poppins, and I listened to it and I was like, what have you done?
Yeah.
This is not Mary Poppins.
All happy for those ones? Any other suggestions?
I'm happy with those.
No.
I'm happy with those.
So cool. Going into the movie vault this week is Mary Poppins, My Fair Lady, and Rocky Horror Picture Show. Thank you, guys. We'll now depart from serious musicals with some fun ones mixed in, and go into our ever fun and bizarre endgame, which I'll have Craig tell you all about.
Okay, well, welcome to this endgame, which is called The Sound of Musicals.
Nice. Nice. That's quality, that.
So before we begin, I would like everyone to choose a buzzer. So we have 4 different buzzers of sounds. David, if you could please press them. So which buzzer would people like?
Could we have them again? No, I'm joking. I don't care.
All right, choose your favourite colour and screw it.
The blue one.
Yeah, I'll have the violently pink one in that case.
I'll go for that green one over there.
Cool. So just so I can associate the sound, can you please just quickly play your buzzers? So Alice? Chiara? Perfect. They all sound uniquely different from each other. Perfect. So in this game, what's going to happen is I'm going to play you a segment from a song from a musical.
Uh-huh.
It can be from any form of music.
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 So the cool
Music,
kids
yeah.
call them the Musies.
We'll call them a music. Sweet. A movie musical. Everything is included except for jukebox musicals. So we have included animated ones here.
Cool.
There may even be some Disney ones in here.
Bring it on.
So the idea is we're going to play you a clip. And basically just, if you think you know the song name and the musical, buzz in. You'll get a point for each one.
Okay.
If you get one of them wrong, we'll pass it over to other people to try. Brief warning.
Okay.
We've had a little bit of fun with some of the audio.
Oh no.
In what way, Craig? In what way?
Various. So some of them are unaltered, which is fine. Some of them we've had a bit of fun, including... I showed you that video yesterday of David's reaction.
Yes.
It was one of the clips I've created.
Oh god.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, well...
Is everyone ready?
As ready as we'll ever be.
Okay, so... Clip 1.
Your story's sad to tell. A teenage ne'er-do-well.
Beauty school dropout in Greece.
And that answer is... Yep. So... Yeah, so we also have a clip which gives you the answer much more clearly, but it was indeed...
Beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you.
Beauty School Dropout from Greece. A song that brings back memories of when I was in a production of Greece, and I had to be one of the dancers in this song.
Oh, yeah.
The only man. The only man.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's 2 points to Alice. Next clip.
Is that some version of Phantom of the Opera?
Which song do you think... Well,
The Phantom of the Opera. The Phantom of the Opera from the Phantom of the Opera.
Correct. Here's the rest of how this sounds. I'll tell you now. My favourite bit of this is it sounds like at one point he's saying, yes, me. Oh, sorry, yas me.
What? Sing for me, I'm assuming is the original. That's Jerry Butler as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds better than usual.
Exactly, yeah. It made this sound like he was like... Ironically, also Chiara, that's what Tommy Wiseau generally sounds like.
Okay.
So yeah, so that is
I don't.
2 points. Excellent. I'm not going to subject you to the original because
Yeah,
you're
let's-
better than that. Next clip.
Ends will be sweet when the curse is complete.
In the Dark of the Night, Anastasia.
Yep, that is indeed correct.
Well done.
So, little bonus trivia time.
Oh,
Who is the singer of that song?
could you play it again?
Yeah, sure.
Ends will be sweet when the curse is complete. She'll be gone.
Rasputin.
Oh, I
The
think.
singer of the film.
Rasputin.
No.
That's the character.
Rasputin.
Okay.
Oh, God, I recognise that voice.
Really.
It's not Jeremy Irons because he was in Lion King. Who is it? I don't know. Never mind.
You're on the scene. You're on the right.
I know it's that
track.
kind of person. I don't.
I feel like I should know this.
So I'm done with the bonus trivia now. So the actor who plays Rasputin is Christopher Lloyd. That is not Christopher Lloyd.
Oh.
You're going to kick yourself because you were saying Jeremy Irons from Lion King.
Yeah.
It is the guy who replaced Jeremy Irons in the second half of Be Prepared. It's Jim Cummings.
I was about to swear for the second time in this podcast. Oh, that is so annoying.
So, but
If you need a villain like voiceover in a song, go to Jim Cummings.
fantastic. Okay, are we ready for the next clip?
No.
No, I'm losing. It's terrible.
So you can come back.
I don't actually know, but it's that Hamilton one that. From Hamilton, is it the throwing away shot one, or am I completely off piece?
So, David.
Oh, damn it.
So, I'll remind you, these are movie musicals exclusively.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
No, that's fine. So I'll carry on the clip.
Is it Moana? Oh, great.
So basically, if you can get this, you've got 2 free points.
Oh my god.
God
Is
damn
it,
it.
That is so annoying.
The Greatest Show from The Greatest Showman? Is that the name of the title? I don't
David?
know. You've got to wait until the end, guys.
Yeah, so to give you context,
So tell me, do you wanna go? Where it's covered in all the color lights.
So annoyingly generic, it could have been anything.
So annoying.
I didn't get it until right at the end, and I was like, ah.
yeah. So as you can tell, that was sped up 2.5 times. And genuinely just making me fun. Okay, so excellent. We'll now move on to the next clip.
Is it Look Down from Les Mis? Oh,
Right.
Points are still available.
Is that all there is?
That's all there is.
can you play it again? I think.
I'll replay it, yeah. Chiara.
Off to see the wizard from the Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was way.
That was an incredibly slowed down version of this.
You have to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. To find the if ever a wiz there was, if ever a wiz there
Sounds like that version of This Is the Greatest Show.
So I had to take something incredibly high pitched and slow it down to that extent.
That's actually what It's a Small World sounds like when it breaks down in Disney. It's just like.
Okay, excellent. So that's 2 points to Chiara. So
Yes, I'm not on 0 anymore.
okay, so after 5 songs, so the scores are James and Chiara both have 2, and Alice is in the lead with 6. And next song.
我气喘如牛快断气，希望起了灯火光临。我看大家真的
I started singing.
Make a Man Out of You from Mulan.
Was that the... I don't know if
Is
it's
it the
been...
Jackie Chan
I was going to say
version?
the Chinese version.
could I make a man?
Or was it just backwards? And I
No, that was Chinese.
My God.
So the way I decided this was I looked at what the next upcoming Disney remake was going to be, and I was going to take a song from its original film. So when I saw it was Mulan, I thought, I wonder if this in Chinese somewhere.
It's a Jackie Chan version of it.
It's
as well.
really good.
Yeah, it's not the Jackie Chan. It's the version directly from the film.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So, okay, excellent. Next clip.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark.
I know what the song is, but what movie is that in?
So, if you want, you can buzz in to get a point for the name of the song.
So the song is You'll Never Walk Alone, right?
Yeah.
But I have no idea what movie that's in.
Yeah, that's because specifically when we were singing it last night, I made sure not to mention the name of the film.
Damn it.
I also mentioned that I won a quiz because I knew the name of the musical it's from. That is from Carousel.
Such a problematic musical.
Yeah, so here is the iconic moment. Bonus point.
Okay.
Which football...
Liverpool.
Okay, I've given the bonus point.
It's the only thing I'm getting.
So, okay, next clip. I warn you, we're now getting into my favourite clips territory.
Oh, no.
Dear.
I have that point, David. Thank you. I can see you.
No,
haven't written it down.
genuinely.
I got an eye on this, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can we have it one more time, please?
No.
Oh, we're
No, please don't.
Oh. No.
Dude, you might as well try it this
Oh,
point.
no, it's exactly what I was thinking.
This is just going to be so annoying. Can we hear it again? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
everyone.
I'll
It's
finish.
painful.
As if he had it coming. From
From-
Chicago.
David?
Yes.
Wow, you got that.
You are only, however, you are only getting 1 point because that's not the
Oh, it's
name
got
of
Cell Block Tango. Oh.
So, I don't know how to deal with this bonus point you've now cruelly stolen from these two.
Oh, did I? Oh.
Yeah, because I was going to give them a
Sorry.
chance.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
I was going to give them a chance to say Cell Block Tango. So,
Just give him the 1 point. He had the other bonus one.
Dude,
Yeah,
you're
that's
so
fine.
cruel.
so yeah, that was
I just
Cell-
did 5 again. Huh? It's impossible.
So that was Cell Block Tango from Chicago. I genuinely love it sped up. It's brilliant.
He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have heard it, I bet you would have done the same.
So, are we ready for the next clip?
No.
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 Connery, no.
This is getting more and more traumatic.
Yeah.
You need to be ready for this clip. Ready?
Time to see what I can do.
I think it was Kiara's.
Frozen. Let it go.
Can
Yeah.
we please hear that the whole way through?
Yes, you can.
Amazing.
I'm gonna play it from the beginning so you can all just enjoy what I've done.
Time to see what I can do to test the limits and break the rules. No right, no wrong, no rules for me.
I
All
literally
the
like
YouTube covers sound like.
it's literally. I think that's the effect that they used on that like Hey song, the like He-Man. You know, the like what's going on.
Wow.
So, my editing software, and at this point, I can see the composer in the room just looking at me with glares because of what I've done.
Well done. That's actually difficult.
The gay glare.
Oh God, never gone in that.
Basically, so my editing software, what it does is it has a pitch altering effect. But what it also has is a stabilizer to try and keep the original voice of the person. So what it's doing is altering the pitch, but also trying to get it back to Idina Menzel's range. So yeah, that is the original clip.
Wow.
Just heavily altered. I'm gonna play like a nice clip from the original, so we can
We all know.
move on.
Let it go, let it go. I am one with the
Fun fact: she's singing about my editing skills on songs. Okay, excellent. So, next song.
Better wait a minute. You better hold the phone. Better mind your manners. Better change your tone. Don't.
It's Hercules.
No.
Damn it.
David. I love how someone else answered for me. It is not Hercules, so at this point.
Is it from Little Shop of Horrors?
What song?
Feed Me Seymour. I don't know.
Okay, so in terms of the musical, you are... In terms of the song, you are...
Go on, Chiara.
I don't remember the name of the song. Oh, damn it.
Would you like to hear more of it than my...
Yes.
Better change your tone. Don't you threaten me, son. You got a lot of gold. We're gonna do things my way, or we won't do things at all.
Yeah, I thought you just dropped the pitch down of the Hercules stuff. That's why it was so low.
So,
I do not remember the name of the song.
okay, so nobody's going to get a bonus point for this, but does anyone think they know it? Okay, well listen to this, because this will tell you what it's called.
And now I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad. I'm just a mean green mother, a real this place, and you got me fighting mad. I'm just a mean green mother from...
Yeah, so that was Mean Green Mother from Outer Space.
Nice.
Yeah, literally written so that they have an opportunity to nominate themselves for best new song at the Oscars.
Wow.
So, and also then just the entire ending changing. Right, excellent. So, next song, and this, yeah.
Wow.
At the end of the day from Les Mis.
Wow.
That was quick.
Yeah.
It is
So-
that like
So we'll play the rest of it so you get to enjoy it. To me, that just sounds like Les Mis set by like a Soviet sort of cast.
or just like what's the character's name again? The Anna Hathaway plays. Yeah. Anyway, her
Fontaine.
Yeah,
Fontaine. Yeah. It's like just her going mad. Like so everyone's like there, like so having to go at it and stuff, and she's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" It's like they're just there, like all like walking around, walking backwards and stuff.
But yeah,
But
so-
I think it is the strings for that, isn't it? Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh." Les Mis.
So yeah, that is 2 points to Chiara. So here is what the original sounds like.
Sounds like that start of Muppets Christmas Carol.
There goes Mr.
Yeah.
There goes Mr. Grimm.
What I enjoyed about that, and unfortunately the listeners at home won't get this, is the fact that there's basically a line of three of us all just bobbing our heads in perfect unison. So yeah, so that was from Les Miserables, and that was at the end of the day. And also the end of the quiz. So, the final scores.
So it is Alice with 8, Chiara with 6, and James with 4.
So in the end, it ended up being a very tight contest. But
Yeah.
Alice, we're happy to say,
as Matt got to name the dinosaur, I'm sure in the future we shall come to you to name something or choose a topic for us, Alice.
we will write
yeah.
a song in your honour.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
But yes, thank you for playing. Well done. And you've gone into the eclectic hall of fame of players. Maybe one day we'll also have some sort of champions of champions. James has now been knocked off because that's his second endgame. But he's how the mighty have fallen.
There wasn't enough Disney.
You were a formidable opponent.
Yeah, so thank you guys. Really fun discussion, really fun endgame there. Whether we're all going to be seeing Frozen 2 or not, I don't know after this episode.
I'll be
but-
releasing my own cut.
yeah. If that was in there, if that song was in there, I would definitely go see it. Because that is just amazing. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, Frozen 2 is out this month. Again, Cats as well in Christmas time. So musicals will be a big thing now in the next few months and possibly next year. And they have been talks of like Wicked someday being a film, and I'm sure there's many others in the pipeline. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Alice, where can we find you? Is there any places
I'm
you
on
want?
Twitter and on Instagram, and it's just at Ali Trinca. ALLYTRINCA.
Oh, she's given away the secret name. Cool. Yeah, Chiara, where can we find you? Is there anything you want to plug or?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'm not a real person. I may or may not be.
Go watch
AI.
Red. Just go watch Red.
Yeah,
That's
everyone should
it.
just go watch Red, basically.
James, where can we find yourself?
Usual avenues, Instagram, Facebook, so SoundCloud, that kind of stuff, and James Gair music will normally get you there.
And yeah, like I said, with us guys, thank you for listening. You can catch us at Fresh Take Hub. We are now officially on Facebook as Fresh Take Hub. They allowed us to change our name.
Hooray!
Got around it in the end. Yeah, like I said, Fresh Take Hub. Fresh Take is the website, and then Well Good Movies is our podcast part of that. So if you want to be involved in the conversation, if you want to suggest any topics in the future, then by all means message us, email us. You can go to the website. All our contact details are on there. Please do make sure that you rate and review us. It really helps with the numbers. And also make sure you subscribe or follow. So no matter where you're listening, if you're listening to this on the website, then, you know, pop it on Spotify or iTunes, any of those sort of podcast outlets that you use. We're pretty much on all of them. Thank you for joining us. If there's any sort of favourite musicals you think that we missed out, or if you think there should be ones in the movie vault, again, do let us know. Craig, any sort of closing remarks from yourself?
No real closing remarks from me, apart from inside. I'm joking.
I was going to say, is it a rendition of something? It would just be that moment in Monty Python's Holy Grail where it's like you just go in to sing. And
I guess I'm going to do a plug for, because we've mentioned the night Jane's Calamity. I feel it deserves an actual shout out. So the basic nature of this night is that the first Thursday of every month in Porter's Cardiff, a bunch of musical fans will basically gather around a piano and various songs from all types of musicals get played, and everyone just sings along in massive unison, and it's an incredibly fun night. Happens, like I said, first Thursday of every month. You can pretty much find me there all the time. So if you want to come and chat musicals, come find me. There's also going to be a second one in December, which will be a combination of musicals and Christmas songs. That's always good fun. I'm always drunk at it, and it's great. So yeah, we gave them a lot of shout outs today, and I think just go and see them. It's also the night endorsed by Lin-Manuel Miranda himself. When he was in Wales recording his Dark Materials, he turned up for a couple of shows, and if you see stuff about him in terms of why he loves Cardiff as much, he does mention from time to time this night. So it's a good laugh. Go.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us once again. Like I said, you can get involved on social media, and we will be back with you soon. And like James Calamity, we'll have Christmas episodes and commentaries all coming for you, and then lots of exciting stuff in the new year. So thank you for joining us, everyone. I hope you enjoy Cats, and don't give it too many nightmares, though I think some of those songs are probably more likely to give you nightmares than Cats is. particularly that fast-paced, squeaky one. So yeah, thank you guys. Like I said, catch us on our social medias, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.